My name's Guy Kestevan, and this is the Tech Talk Round on the Kinesis Rise Fazua powered e-hardtail. So what is it that makes this Kinesis Rise, different and worth talking about? Well, for a start, in a world where most e-mountain bike hardtails are kind of either soft roaders with really kind of civilian angles, or they're just race bikes with an engine put in, this is one of the few proper trail-shaped e-hardtails. So, I mean, it's not crazy radical. It's a 66.7 head angle, and then you've got a 75.5 degree seat tube there as well. So plenty of forward positioning to use that power on the climbs, and decent stability from that head angle. And you also get a 44mm offset fork, which, you know, stabilizes the handling, but at the same time lightens it up in terms of how it feels through the bars. You get proper wide FSA bars, you get a nice short FSA stem. So it's an 800mm bar and it's a 45mm stem. And the Pro version, which I'll talk about later, will come with an even shorter stem for an even lighter, kind of more responsive feel. And then covering off the rest of the numbers, you've got a 55mm bottom bracket drop with these 2.5-inch tyres in there, and then 445mm rear chainstay. So again, that gives space for a 2.6 tyre in 29er or up to a 2.8 on 27.5. And I have been riding this bike quite a lot in with a plus tyre in the rear, because, you know, all this stout heavy-duty alloy metalwork and this big old down tube does mean this is a pretty stiff frame. You know, this is a frame designed for proper riding, to properly taking knocks. And, you know, that does have some implications in terms of smoothness when you're properly pushing on hard terrain, because it has got the geometry that makes you really, really want to ride hard. In terms of kit, this is the first generation SRAM GX version. There aren't actually many of these about. It's sold so well, they're already, you know, talking about the second generation spec. But just for completeness, we'll go through this. So it's an X-Fusion E-Slide fork. It's a 34mm stanchion fork, but these are extra thick, heavy-duty stanchions, so it's a bit like a Fox Rhythm in that respect. So fairly hefty, but stiff, and, you know, reasonably plush, and, you know, adequate control. But like I say, on the Pro version, that's going to change up to a RockShox 35 e-bike fork. It's a new fork from RockShox, so stiffer and with a slightly more advanced suspension action on that as well. Up top, you've got TRP Slates brakes, 4-pot trail brake. Again, good solid brake, but on the Pro you'll be moving to a Shimano SLX 4-pot brake, so a little bit more modulation, a little bit more control on that more expensive model. DMR death grips, always a favourite on any bike, and of course Kinesis and DMR share the same distributor, so great to see on there as a real sort of control point highlight. Moving back, you've got 170mm shaft X-Fusion Manic dropper post, so really good, solid, reliable dropper post. You know, fully adjustable dropper lever there, so that's all taken care of really well. And because because the sizing system on this Rise, you've got seat tubes anywhere from 400 to 460mm in length. So there's loads of space to a dropper in every size. And just sort of riffing back to that sizing there, rather than doing a typical sort of seat tube sizing, they do it in terms of L1, 2, 3, and 4. Which takes the reach from 436 at the shortest, and then this L2, which is kind of the small medium size, is still a decent 461mm reach. Then you go up to 480 in the L3, and up to a massive 510 in the L4 size. So you can size your bike depending on the reach you want. So, you know, it's properly progressive geometry on this thing. And I've come off track here a bit. What I need to cover off as well is these wheels. These are specific Sector, again, another upgrade distribution brand, but these are specific heavy-duty wide rims for e-bike use, specific e-bike hubs, and, you know, on the rear to take that extra drive that's coming through from this Fazua motor. And you've also got an FSA crank on there, fit to standard, with the FSA Megatooth chain retention tech on there. And then, like I say, it's a GX drivetrain on this, but this is obviously first generation GX Eagle. You know, the next SRAM bikes will probably be coming through with a 1052 extended Eagle cassette on the back, and the Pro version will have a full Shimano SLX running kit on there. And we've already talked about the DMR death grips in terms of excellent rubber connection, and they've also come up trumps with the tyre spec on this Rise as well. You've got a Minion DHF in 3C Max Terra EXO on the front, and then on the rear you've got an Aggressor, same size, 2.529, just a slightly faster rolling tread on there. But obviously the real standout feature about this bike is what's in here. This Fazua Ovation motor system. If you've not met Fazua Ovation before, rather than having a kind of separate motor and then a separate battery, the motor and the battery are all in this one removable tube, which gives it the unique advantage that you can completely pull out the whole motor and battery system and actually have a big sort of storage cavity in there, which you can cover with a 400-gram aftermarket plate, and basically have a big cargo hold in your bike. Or if you just want to ride the bike without the motor in, it obviously makes it a lighter and even a lighter, more agile system. Complete bike weight for this without pedals is 19.4 kilos. That motor pack with the battery weighs about 3.3 kilos. So it's still it's still a heavy hardtail, but it's only sort of a kilo over a heavy duty hardtail with similar spec. Without any motor system at all. And even with whether you've got the motor in and you're just over the usual rev limit, it's geared to 25 kilometers an hour or 50 mile an hour, like all e-bikes are, there's actually zero drag once you go over that speed limiter. It's a really easy bike to pedal in terms of going beyond what the motor can give you. And in terms of what that output is, it's a 400 watt motor at peak capacity. You can tune it in the Fazua Toolbox app to give you a full 400 watt boost, but maximum torque is only 55 Newton meters, and that's controlled through the controller on here. So you've got 3 different modes. You've got Rocket, which in the default setting is up to 250 watts, kind of consistent power. Then you've got River, which is your more flowing, sort of 200 watt progressive assist. It matches the effort you're putting in. And then you've got Breeze, which is the lightest level of assistance, so it's around 100 watts, and it's just a really sort of nice, gentle top-off tailwind kind of feel. But most of the time, we've been riding it in River, which gives, noticeably useful assist. It's still 55 Newton meters in terms of torque, and so there's plenty of drive there to get you over the top of stuff, and there's a little bit of run on, so you can hoik over edges, that kind of thing. And this bike has also been updated with Fazua's new Black Pepper software update, which really improves the range that the motor picks up through. It now picks up from 55 through to 125 RPM in terms of cadence, and it smooths out the power delivery right through. It doesn't actually add any top-end power, but it just makes the whole Fazua system a lot more kind of rider responsive and a rider reference. So the overall ride is a lot smoother and just much more natural. And the other absolutely great thing about the Fazua motor, as well as being removable and as well as being light, a sub 20 kilo e-bike at an affordable price is really, really impressive. The best thing about it is it's really, really quiet. So, I've come and filmed this in, it appears to be Birdsong Central today. But if that's what you like about your mountain biking, and for a lot of us, those natural sounds are really, really important. The Fazua system is so good as, just letting you get out there, get that extra assistance, get that extra range. It's only a 250 watt hour battery, but because you're using less torque, you're using less power, the range is comparable to full-size battery and full-size motorbikes. So it's about, 50 kilometers is what Fazua claim, and that seems totally reasonable, even with like 1,000 meters of climbing in the mix. But it's just that quietness and that really natural feel that really makes the Fazua stand out when the motor is on board. And then, of course, you've got the ability to just pop the motor out with the battery and create a really lightweight system. So I'm just going to grab the motor out now. It's fairly simple. It's just a latch under here. There we go. So I've just pulled the motor out and the battery system. As you can see, it's that's where it comes out. That's the battery clip there. And then down there is the little sort of connection impeller, whatever you want to call it. That's the way the motor drives through. You've got that little connection on there. So it's a really soft, quiet connection. And then on the head unit here, you've got the sort of battery indicator for this battery pack. And also under there is the little USB adapter, so that's how you plug it into your Fazua toolbox on your PC to do any updating and do any do any firmware updating and to change the modes and settings on your motor. So you can configure the motor to run how you want through that. So that's a really, obviously super neat drive system, and they're doing a lot of development. They're doing a lot of evolution on that. They've just had the Black Pepper upgrade. There's a remote control coming for the handlebar, which will feature on the Pro model. This just gets the top tube mount, but again, it's just a really unobtrusive physical mount, and in terms of controller, there's no big kind of old school looking dashboard up there to get in the way or to remind you that on an e-bike. It's just a really quiet, normal feeling bike to ride. So absolutely make sure you watch the live ride review, because then you'll be able to see obviously how it copes with trails and how well it actually rides. But you can see even here, it's just a really neat really neat, good looking bike for an e-bike. And you can see there's some nice detailing down here. All the cabling is internal, apart from where it pops out into the seat tube there and runs down here. You've got this lovely kind of metal fleck paint job. It's a bit drab and overcast today, but in the right sunlight, this absolutely pops. So it doesn't look like an apology of an e-bike. It looks like a bike you can be properly proud of, and you can be properly proud of the way this bike rides in terms of handling as well. So like I say, make sure you watch that live ride review to get an idea of how it really handles on the trail. I've had a lot of fun. I've had this bike for about 3 months now. Loads of people have borrowed it. Loads of people have really enjoyed them. And it's, to excuse the pun, really switched on a lot of people to e-biking who thought it was maybe out of their price range, or thought, a full suspension bike was just too much for the riding they wanted to do. They still wanted that hardtail feel and that hardtail kind of responsiveness and feedback, but they didn't think you could get that with modern geometry, and that's exactly where this bike comes in. So this is a price pointed bike, this current GX, so there are some limitations in the fork, and it's a sturdy beast. There's no way of getting around that. A bike with a motor and a battery in, even a lightweight setup, will always be a big old thumper when it comes to square edge hits and blatting over rocky stuff. But it's really agile, it's really responsive, and it's just quiet and really nicely packaged. And with that Pro model coming on, that'll really flatter sort of the basic strengths of this setup, it's a really, it's absolutely worth having a look at this Kinesis Rise. It really, it's in a niche of its own at the moment, but it does such a great job of it. I think we'll hopefully be seeing a lot more similar bikes coming up in the future. But for now, this is a really good proper trail hardtail, but that lets you go faster, further, and have more fun for each ride. So that's the Tech Talk round. Thanks very much to Kinesis for supplying the bike and for supporting this video. Thanks to you guys for watching. Please make sure, if you're not subscribing, you sign up for subscription. Click for notifications as well. Massive thanks to my Patreon supporters, whose names are scrolling up here. They give a small monthly pledge in return for exclusive early and extended edits. They've had a draft edit on the live ride review of this bike for a while now. So if you want more behind the scenes stuff, you want the ability to ask more in-depth questions, kind of get, pick my brains more, well, that's the place to go to for literally the price of a cup of tea and a biscuit. That pledge every month, that pledge starts at. But thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Quick Cartel for the jersey. Thanks to Laser for the helmet I filmed the live ride review on. I was wearing gyro kit and enduro kit as well. But I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, talking about this unique, properly hardcore shaped, Fazua powered hardtail, the Kinesis Rise.